You tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need. We give you outspoken thoughts about all the headlines. We talk baseball, football, hockey, and more. No matter the topic, we cover it. Get ready for the show and keep it outspoken. Keep it outspoken. We keep it outspoken only on the Sportscast. Tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need.
Hello, everybody. Welcome in. It's the Outspoken Sportscast here with your host, Brian. We have Jeff on as well, your other host of the show. It's been a little bit since we've been able to get together and do a show, so we're excited to be on together.
The duo is back.
The duo is back, and hopefully back for good. So there's I don't know what's been going on with you for the last couple of weeks. We'll get into that in the spotlight of the week, but the In Our Locker session going on at the end of the episode here. We got a lot of football to talk about. We got baseball playoffs coming in soon as well. So let's go ahead and jump into it, Jeff. We're going to start off with the spotlight of the week. All right, Jeff, as the spotlight of the week this week, we're going to do power rankings. We're already headed into week 5, Jeff, of the NFL coming up, which to me is crazy. It seems like it's flying by. And I wanted to get on here. I wanted to rank these teams, kind of give you what we expect, and maybe the next 4 weeks we'll give you another power rankings. And I don't like to do week by week just because it's kind of hard to tell week by week of who's kind of pulling ahead of the pack here. But Jeff, let's go in backwards order. We'll start with our number 5 teams, and we'll count down 5 to 1 here. Who do you have in your number 5 spot as the best teams in the league?
I would have to go based off just production currently. Even though I don't trust them a lot, I will say the Raiders. I do like it seems like they're playing better than they have been, but again, I've been fooled by them before. They're kind of a strange team. You know, 1 minute they'll look like they're top of the pack, top teams, you know, and then the next minute you watch them and you're just like, what? Like, what happened there? But I mean, I personally would look at it as, you know, the Raiders to, you know, being, I'd say the bottom of the 5, you know. I mean, what do you think about that?
The Raiders, before this last week, I had the Raiders in my top 5, but they lost last week, and you're right with this team. With the Raiders, they're inconsistent sometimes, and you never want to trust them too much because before a couple years ago they played really good, made the playoffs, and we're like, okay, the Raiders are here, they've got their quarterback, and then it really hasn't come to tuition, right? So I agree with you. I don't trust the Raiders. I would put them in the top. They're probably like number 6 or 7 for me. So I could see why you would put them at 5. It's just right now it's kind of hard to trust them, but they are playing some good football. So
yeah, and I think going up the list, I would probably then put it's tough because I'm like, man, I'd say I'd say the Bills fourth, mainly because they're a good team, but we haven't seen them. We haven't seen them go too far in the playoffs. I think for the last couple of years they've gotten close. We just need to see some of this kind of all put together and just kind of go on a perfect run, basically. But but they're definitely in the top. They're in the top 5 for sure, and I would put them at 4. And the reason that is because it's a tough group here to kind of pick from, and the Bills are definitely among the mix for sure. I like the team. I hope they go, man, I hope they're top, by the end of the season. I think they're a talented team that definitely deserves some praise. They've had a lot of mishandles over the years and close losses and Super Bowl failures and stuff like that. So, I definitely would like to see them do something. So I put them 4. Their defense is awesome. Their quarterback play is awesome. I think maybe a few more pieces of just string up a few more pieces against some good teams, and I think the Bills are definitely 1 or 2 at the end of the season if they continue on the direction and the performance they're at right now. Even I think you had here, they outscored their opponents 118-21. That's crazy. Just do that against some really top teams, and man, this team is really in the mix for sure, if not the top team. But early on in the season, perfect. I think they're a team to look out for sure. I'm gonna put the Bucks at 3, and the only reason I say this is because they are the Super Bowl champs. It's tough to say, oh well. I do agree with their defense. Seems something's off. I don't know what it is. Their defense isn't as locked down. Okay,
been bad.
Yeah. So I haven't seen them as a lockdown defense like they were last season. Right now, maybe that will change. If that does, and there's some healthy players that come back mid-season, then they're a team to look out for, if not the team to beat. But I'm going to put them at 3 mainly because they're just the defending champs. You can't deny that. You can't deny that they're playing well. They're just not playing as good as they were last year because of problems. But
right.
After that though, it's weird because I'm leaving the Chiefs out in here, and it's
me too.
It sucks.
They're not in my top 5.
It sucks because something's off with the Chiefs. I don't know what it is. I don't know where to pinpoint it. Something is off with this team. They're always coming. It seems like they're coming from behind a lot. Their defense hasn't been always so good, and I get that, but I think you're starting to run into some teams that are either are figuring out Mahomes, or they're just not afraid of him anymore.
I think too, when you talk about the Chiefs, they're not in my top 5 either, and they're outside of it 6, 7, or 8. And not to say that Patrick Mahomes is lucky, because I don't think he's very talented, but there's a lot of those throws he makes it's okay, that should have been intercepted, or or this or that, and it's just, so I think some of that luck's running out in the years, finding out kind of once you see a team, this is Patrick Mahomes' 3rd year. Once you kind of know what he's going to do, it's a little easier for the defenses to slide and slow him down, and they're a good team. Their defense isn't very good at this point, and I think it's really hurting them. But the Chiefs aren't in my top 5, and I think the struggle early on is with that. I do expect them to be up there eventually in the end, but right now they're not in my top 5 either. My number 4 team, I got the Bucks. Like we talked about, that the defense, the secondary has been hurt. They brought in Richard Sherman and played him week 1. Not week 1 in the NFL, but when they hired him, they said, okay, you're starting Sunday. That's how bad their secondary is. I forget his name, but there's a player, their best secondary corner, broke his arm against Dallas. They've had another season endings. Their other starting corner got hurt as well. So he's out. So that defense hasn't been there yet. And this team struggled last year too, Jeff. The Bucks they got blown out by the Saints 38-3, kind of like my Packers did this week or this year. The Bucks struggled against and they lost to the Bears last year by a point. So they've struggled last year towards the beginning, and then at the end they turned it on. And then when the playoffs came, they were almost unstoppable. So Brady will
that's
turn
all it takes. That's all it takes is for a team to get on some momentum shift towards the end of the season and bring it into the playoffs. And honestly, that's really all it takes sometimes.
You ain't lying. And then that's what we're hoping they don't do this year, because this is a good team. And like we talk about on this show, that defense doesn't really carry over too much. If you look at their defense, if you look at Washington football team's defense, they haven't carried over. But so this team's my number 4. What I was going to say about the Chargers, number 5, they've beat some good teams. They should have beat the Dallas Cowboys. They beat the Raiders. They beat the Chiefs. So that resume right there, they're playing really good football. Their head coach is the new head coach this year. I like him. I'm forgetting his name. He's a defensive-minded coach, but when I asked him about the offense the other day, he had some really good things to say about the offense. And a lot of defensive coaches don't really care about offense too much, right? They're not breaking down plays, or they're not doing this. But he had some awesome stuff to say about the offense. I like him a little bit, and you got Herbert playing really well. So Chargers at 5, Bucks at 4, and then I got Bills at 3. And yeah, the last 3 games they've outscored their opponents 118-21. This defense has really impressed me the last 3 weeks. They've those 21 points were all scored by, I believe, Miami. I believe, I'm not mistaken. The other 2 teams, they shut them out. So their defense is playing really, really well. Now they've played some bad opponents, but they've also stepped up to the plate and just killed them. So last week they won 40-0, and so the Bills are turning it on. They look good. I would like to see them do this against some really good teams. We'll see that later on in their schedule. But right now, I got the Bills number 3. My number 2 team, Jeff, okay, is the Rams. And I expected to have the Rams number 1 all year long, but they took a loss last week. And, well, this is the week before. They beat Seattle on Thursday night, but the week before they played the Cardinals, and they got handled at home by the Cardinals. They got beat up. The game wasn't as close as it should have been at the end. They scored a touchdown to kind of, just a kind of a no time touchdown. I forget what they call those, but anyways, the Rams are my number.
Garbage time.
There you go. Garbage time touchdown. The Rams look good. This defense doesn't look as good as it used to. They gave up 200 yards rushing last week against the Cardinals. It's a huge reason why they lost that game as well. But Matthew Stafford so far is everything we expect him to be with the Rams, and they're still getting better. So I got them number 2. Jeff, who's your number 2 team?
I have to agree. I think we're gonna be agreeing on this one for sure. Well, I'll say this. I have the Packers. No, I'm kidding. You're like, no, I say the Rams, man. This is a team that took everybody by. Well, I shouldn't say it should have taken everybody by surprise, because Stafford's a good quarterback. He was just on a bad team in a bad situation. But now he's on a good team with a good defense. This is going to be one of the top teams in the end in the NFC if you were to predict it now. If nothing changes and everything is pretty much staying the same in terms of rankings and stuff like that, the Rams are going to be in the NFC Championship game for sure.
Right.
Based off of just performance that we've seen at this point. But yeah, like Stafford's been awesome. This defense is ridiculously good. They were after Russell Wilson. It's just, unfortunately got injured, but yeah, like it's just this team is really good, and it's a team to worry about. And if you're not, If you're not a fan of the Rams or any of this next team that we're talking about, you should be worried in the NFC.
Yeah, that whole division is really good. And my number one team, Jeff, is the Arizona Cardinals. And to me, they've been the biggest surprise of this season, other than I think the Raiders probably. But the Cardinals are the only undefeated team. Okay. They went in and they dominated the Rams last week. And all this talk last week was about Tom Brady going back versus Bill Belichick. And I'm going, guys, we're missing the best game of the week. And that's going to be the Cardinals versus the Rams. And the Cardinals went into LA and dominated. They ran the ball for 216 yards. And they threw the ball all over the place. Kyle Murray is playing fantastic football right now. They've put up over 30 points in each game so far. They're lights out on the offense. They're hard to score. They can run the ball. They can throw the ball. This defense is surprising as well. You know, I think when you look at this team and you go, okay, well, Kyle Murray's a really good quarterback, and you got DeAndre Hopkins, and they added the Bengals wide receiver that's all AJ Green, and you're like, well, he's not got much left in the tank, but you think this offense would be the one, wouldn't be the surprise of this team. This defense is the surprise of this team, and they're playing really well. They're sacking quarterbacks. They're getting pressure. They're stopping the run. We all laughed at I can't talk. Not TJ Watt, JJ Watt, when he said, I want to go to the Cardinals and because I want to have a chance to win. And last year we were all like, well, I don't know if you're winning there. Well, right now he looks pinpoint all right on, because these Cardinals are the surprise, I think, so far. Only undefeated team right now. And I got them. I predicted them to win this coming week, going 5-0. What's your number one team, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be the Cardinals. I mean, based off production to right now, Rams and Cardinals can flip all year long, and they probably will. I think, if this continues, if this trend continues with these rankings, I think that you are going to see the Cardinals drop to 2, Rams go to 1, Rams go to 2, Cardinals go to 1. Like, I could see these two teams flipping. The only thing with the Cardinals that I need to continue to see is consistency.
Right.
That's the main problem with these teams that haven't shown that even the years prior. So granted, Kyler Murray's has his second year, third year,
I think it's
second or third year.
I think it's his third
year.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I think he's finally coming into his own, and I think that that's good. That time spent, controlling the team and being the captain and everything else, I think is important. We're finally starting to see what he can really do. And I think that's normal for any kind of quarterback that starts out in the NFL. It's going to take you a while to kind of get into the groove of things and be that leader that everybody wants you to be on the offensive side of the ball. But the Cardinals need to keep it up. Like, that's all. I think that they're a talented team. This is not, I don't think it's a fluke. And I think that in terms of the Rams, I know a lot of people will be like, well, why aren't Rams at number 1? Or why aren't Rams at number 1? They just won a game or whatever. Or the Rams fans are like, well, how could we lose to the Cardinals, but yet be, some people may think, how can the Rams be number 2 if they lost that bad to the Cardinals? I'm going to tell you one thing. It's if your team has a good game plan against an opponent, they're going to probably, if they're out coached and the game plan for them is better than the game plan that the other team had against you or against the other team, if it's better, you're typically going to have kind of a weird lopsided kind of thing like that. So, for example, are the Rams defense a joke because the Cardinals busted out against them? I don't think so. There are going to be times where that happens, but I think if these two teams met again, I think it would be a lot closer than you think.
Right. Well, and they will meet again. They play in the same division, obviously,
same division.
But you're definitely right.
Yeah. I mean, that happened. earlier this week as well. I mean, a lot of people were like, oh, talking about the Broncos and stuff and their defense. And they're like, what happened there? And I'm just like, I think honestly, it was just a better game plan. He didn't run the ball and he had to pass and he did. And there were a few moments that our secondary was completely confused and didn't cover certain guys, and certain few guys got open. That was pretty much the end of that.
Well, you have rookies back there playing, and that's going to happen.
Right. And I think there was obviously miscommunication in that game too. I mean, he threw like a 60-some yard pass, which Lamar Jackson does not do.
Yeah, he threw for over 300 yards. I was like, really?
Well, a lot of that was, I mean, honestly, that game was close even into the fourth quarter. It's just the offense just completely screwed up and Teddy Bridgewater got injured, and then you had Locke in there and that just didn't work. But like, I think that if we had our offensive lineman not injured, Dalton Reisner is an example. He was out, which was a huge problem for the offensive line. It also and then we abandoned the running game. But I mean, like, what I'm trying to get at is, there are going to be moments where your team, just because your team may lose to another team, doesn't necessarily mean, like, for example, are the Green Bay Packers worse than the Saints? No, they just got your number that day. You know what I mean? Like, their game plan was a little bit better than what the Green Bay Packers did that day. I think that if you
on that game,
right? But I'm just saying though, if you really, really would have put money on that, let's say come playoff time or come, a moment where the Packers would meet the Saints again this year, I mean, who would win? I would go with Green Bay.
Oh yeah.
And so, it happens. It happens.
It's about not overreacting, right? You always hear overreaction Monday. Oh, should the Rams be worried because they just got beat by it's you take a game at a time, and these things happen. Right?
This does not diminish how good the Rams are, or anything like that, just because they lost to the Cardinals in a crazy and strange way. Like, so, and it doesn't diminish the Cardinals either. So it just, just because they caught the Rams off guard. So I think that somebody might come back and go like, well, that doesn't make any sense. The Rams should be 4 now or 5, and I don't agree with that at all.
You also got to look at the talent, and you got to look at the games before, and you got to look at opponents, and it's the same thing. It's the same thing as, like, look, the Bills are expected to be good this year, right? They have the great quarterback, they have a great offense, they've got a good defense, and they come in and they lose to the Steelers game 1, and you're okay. Well, they're not jumping off a cliff. They just beat 3 bad teams. Well, we put them in our top 5 because we know the potential this team has. Yeah, they played 3 bad teams. Okay. But we know this potential, and they also handle their business against those teams. We know this team's potential. So if they go out and play a good team and lose, well, they'll probably fall out of the top 5. So it's all about perspective. It's all about expectations for the football teams. It's all like,
and a lot of things is like, there's some reasons as to why some of these other teams are left off the chart and out of the top 5. For example, Dallas is not in the top 5 right now, and I think a lot of that is because the Cardinals beat the Rams. That's why they're number 1. Like, you go back and you look, and it's like, okay, the Dallas game against the Chargers was kind of a weird game. There were some odd things, a lot of drop passes that Herbert threw that his receivers somehow couldn't catch. One of them was for a touchdown. And then you go back and you look, and Dallas is beating some, it's the Eagles, right? Or it's, the Giants or whatever. And so when you have that, if the Dallas Cowboys came out and handed the Rams a loss or handed the Cardinals a loss, they're up in the top.
Well, see, Jeff, because you could write down 8 teams and struggle on who's going to be in the top 5. The Dallas Cowboys are in my top 8. They're close to that top 5. They handle the Panthers. Okay. that was a good game going into halftime. I was like, okay, this is actually a pretty good game. And then the Cowboys came out and just handled business. That was a prove it game for me to Carolina, and Carolina didn't do too well. Of course, their division's going to give them 6 easy wins. But it's not just that they beat the Eagles. They beat them by 21 points. They're handling their business like the Bills, right? The Bills played bad teams and they've outscored them 118-21. So it's about when you get a good team and they play someone that's bad, you want to see them handle them. That's how I kind of look at it. You don't want to see them. They won on a last second field goal. They won by 4 points. No, you want to see them take care of business, handle it, and move on. And I think the thing is, if there are Cowboy fans listening, which there probably are, honestly, and because some people in Texas listen. So, but I will say this: if any of the Cowboy fans are like, "Well, what the heck? Why aren't we in the top 5?" And it's just like, you haven't gotten there yet because of some of these other teams are better. I didn't put them in my top 5. I put the Chargers at number 5 because I think their wins are more impressive. The Raiders, the Chiefs, right? Yeah. Those two right there are impressive. Right. So and they play Washington football team close in the beginning, but that's the first game of the year. You go back to the Packers and Saints. Not everyone's on their game. So that they did win that game. So I got the Chargers there just because who they beat. And I think that's more impressive. The Cowboys did beat the Chargers, and look, they won the game. Can't take it away from them, but it's a game that the Chargers lost, in my opinion. So
yeah, it is.
Yeah, but those are our top 5s. I went back and forth on who to put in there. I had the Raiders in there one week. I took them out. We had this. I had the Cowboys up there. I said, I look at the Chargers, look who they beat. So that's who we got in there right now. I just don't want to. I don't want Cowboy fans to get frustrated with that and go, well, y'all are just being biased or something, and we're not. I'm just saying, like, the NFC. Here's the deal. There are a lot of good teams in the NFC. I'm sorry, but there are a lot. It's like a lot of them NBA West. There's a lot of good teams. The West.
A lot of those teams. If you were to put everything down today, they're better than the Cowboys right now. Like the Rams, the Cardinals. I would even throw, the Bucks. The Bucks did beat the Cowboys. Things like that. And then that's not including Green Bay. That's not including, these other kind of surprise teams that still may be in the mix at the end. So it's just kind of like, that's one of the reasons. It's just, the Cowboys have always been a streaky team throughout their history, especially in the last, 5 seasons, maybe even 6 seasons. And they're streaky. And so I think a lot of people that are sports fans of this, NFL sports fans are looking at the Cowboys going, yeah, but show me more. Show me that more through the season. Show me that all the way to the end.
Oh, definitely.
Show me the same kind of effort all the way to the end. Beat these good teams. Get deep in the playoff. Like that's kind of where people are coming from. And I think a lot of people get frustrated. Cowboy fans probably get frustrated because it's like no one's giving us a benefit of the doubt. And it's like, but it's not like it's out of nowhere. It's not like everybody's just sitting there going, it's not like people are sitting there going, Green Bay Packers are trash and Aaron Rodgers trash. No, he's not. He's been in the playoffs almost every season, or whatever, or even saying Tom Brady's trash. He's not, obviously. So it's just kind of like, we're not just saying that because I don't like someone. I'm just saying that because they haven't shown much to go off, and 1 minute they'll do something, and the next minute they'll do something else, and you're going scratching your head going, what? And that's been consistent for the last 5 seasons or so or more. And this season it looks better, but we got to see that same effort all the way through the season and even into the playoffs, honestly. So that's why. I mean, I know the Cowboys are good. They're playing good, whatever. Everybody is looking at it going, okay, but show me the consistency throughout the season and into the playoffs, and then we'll talk.
All right. I don't know how this got into Cowboy talk, But
Well, because I throw that in there because I know that some of the fans watch, and we didn't talk about it or acknowledge them, and so it's just like I know they're playing well. I'm not denying that they're not playing well. We're not denying that they're not playing well. They're on a different level than the Rams.
Oh
and the
no,
Cardinals
I've been fighting for the Cowboys. Surprisingly, that no, this team is a good team, and from what we've seen so far, and so, but there's not in the top 5 yet, and it's no big deal. Honestly,
they're not there yet, and no one's saying they won't get there.
Right.
That's all.
Definitely. All right, Jeff, those are our NFL power rankings. We'll save these down, and in 4 weeks we'll do another one and go from there and see who kind of fallen off and who maybe still in there. So let's go ahead and jump into the headlines of the week. All right, Jeff. Well, I had to add this one last minute the other night because Russell Wilson is going to miss up to a week or longer. It could be 6. It could be 4 to 8 weeks. I think, or 4 to 6 weeks with he has a torn ligament in his finger, and he couldn't play the other night in the Rams game, and it cost him. I think, I predicted the Rams to win this game. Russell Wilson and them played great. Russell Wilson played really good until he got hurt. Couldn't hold on to the ball, and the backup had to come in, and he played okay. But it's not Russell Wilson. He threw an interception to end the game the other night against the Rams. That's one I think maybe Russell Wilson wins at the end. But the Rams are the Seattle Seahawks, in my opinion, and I had them out before this happened. If we go back and look at my predictions, I predicted them to be last place in the division and missing the playoffs. They're done, Jeff. This has cost them a season. Him missing 4 games in a brutal division he plays in. You have no time to catch up. The Seattle Seahawks are out.
I think the Seattle Seahawks are in. No, I'm kidding.
They're out. Yeah.
I think this is bad. Seattle has got to at some point figure out what they're going to do. Are they going to start the process of figuring out what
a rebuild
this team looks like past Russell Wilson?
No, Jeff.
Not past Russell Wilson,
past
but
their head coach, Pete Carroll. They've got to get rid of him.
Yeah, and it's a very big possibility that Pete Carroll might be out, which is fine by me. I can't stand the guy, but this team has got to get to a point where, okay, I think it's time. I think it's time to trade some pieces off. I think it's time to understand that we maybe need to be drafting. We need to be picking up more draft pieces and more draft picks, stockpiling some and drafting and even trading down and get more pieces and stuff like that. So it's a very big possibility. Maybe this is a moment to not tank. Well, they might want to. But again, I don't think the situation quarterback wise, or even I don't even know what the draft class really looks like next year. But
for quarterback, it's not very good.
It's probably not. Yeah, I just think that ultimately just stockpile draft picks, and if you're going to build a team, I would build it similar to how maybe you had it last time, build that defense back up again, and then obviously go from there and build from the inward out like that. And that way that's defense is solidified, because Russell Wilson really just needs to have some kind of a lead. And I think that you can have chances to win based off his talent.
Honestly, but, sorry, I'm going to cut you off.
Oh, and the only other thing is, maybe even solidify the offensive line. But other than that, I think that it's a possibility that Seattle fans need to understand that this may be the signs of this is kind of where this team has to start picking pieces up and kind of just starting from scratch.
Honestly, I'd be surprised if Russell Wilson's in Seattle next year. He's talked about.
Is he in contract year?
I don't think so.
Okay.
He talked about being traded. He talked about being traded last offseason, right? This last offseason, and
Green Bay,
and things kind of heated up, dude. If Rodgers left, when Rodgers leaves, and if we replaced him with Russell Wilson, I'm fine with that. But what interested me with that is those talks were still going on this season, like in the first 2 or 3 games. There were still rumors about him wanting to be traded, and it hasn't taken full-fledged or it'd be all over the place, but there were still talks about it, and it was like, oh, okay, well, so I don't think Russell's going to stick around for a rebuild. I think Russell will want out of Seattle, and I do honestly, in a hot take here, Seattle, I think he'll be gone next year, and I think the owner loves Pete Carroll too much, and Pete Carroll has a lot of pull there. So I don't think he's going anywhere. Unfortunately for you Seattle fans, I don't think he's going anywhere. So, but I do think it's that time to start moving on. And you look at the Steelers. Well, it's not the same thing with the Steelers because Ben Roethlisberger's washed, and they were loyal to him and brought him back, and they should have said, "See you later." It's not Russell Wilson's wash, but he's not washed. He's fantastic. But
well, there's a number of reasons as to what's going on in Pittsburgh, and I think obviously the quarterback play, but also they got rid of their offensive line coach, which was an actual mistake, and they lost him to the Broncos, and I think that it shows in for the Steelers as to why that offensive line is just complete and utter garbage right now. And Roethlisberger talked about that before, but at the end of the season, a couple of years ago, and they said, you don't need to get rid of the offensive line coach, because if you do, we're going to have a hard time. And it shows. But yeah, besides the Pittsburgh Steelers, in terms of Seattle, I think this is getting to the precipice of
what Seattle is.
And I don't think Russell Wilson wants to start from scratch at this point in his career.
No, they talked about, I heard something the other day about how he's really big into legacy and his legacy. And I don't think that says, hey, let me stick around for a rebuild. So
do you think the Saints probably a team?
That could be it, or Deshaun Watson. I saw an article the other day that said the Saints are a team that's kind of hiding out in the shadows of who might be the favorite for landing spot for Deshaun Watson. But if Seattle is dealing, you could see him in Saints. I think that could work out as really well for him to end his career there. And there could be a lot of quarterbacks on the move this offseason. You got Aaron Rodgers drama going on again. You have Russell Wilson. You have Deshaun Watson. If anybody trades for him and touches him, I could see Miami being another team, Jeff, that trades away Tua and gets Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson or whatever. So be interesting to see who lands where next year. But all right, Jeff, let's move on to the next one. This one hurt, Jeff. This one hurt. Gilmore was traded to the Panthers for a 2023 6th-round pick. I say this one hurt because when they said they released him, it hadn't become official yet, and he wanted to come to Green Bay. Gilmore he's 31 years old. He's coming off an injury, but he would have helped out our secondary. He would have been great in Green Bay. Especially since J.R. Alexander's hurt. We'll get into that in a little bit. But they traded him away before they actually released him. That's the only way you could come to Green Bay is if they released him. They traded him away to the Panthers, who added a really good talent to the injured secondary. They drafted C.J. Horn, who'd been a beast so far his rookie year. But he got hurt out for the year. They add in Gilmore to step in his place. The Panthers defense looks pretty good. And I really like what their coach has done there, Matt Rule, so that he's building this team up, and they look to help out that defense by adding Gilmore and from the Patriots.
Yeah, it seems like the Panthers need help, so I think that there's it's kind of odd, but I could see where the Patriots are coming from. Maybe they looked at that and said, maybe we have some younger talent that's not as injury or coming off an injury and with a big question mark on their head. So, but I think he's going to prove, she's going to want to prove everybody wrong, especially the Patriots, and say I'm back and I'm better than I was before. So we'll see. We'll see if it pans out as a good move in general, and if the Patriots were wrong.
Right. And the thing is he's 31. He wants a big contract. He wants to make $15 million a year. And that's not going to happen in Green Bay. If this happened into come to Green Bay, because Devontae Adams reached out to him. And if this was hey, come to Green Bay, try and help us win one last year for Aaron Rodgers. And he said he wanted to go to Green Bay, but this didn't happen. I was like, dang it. On that note, Jeff, on the Green Bay and trades, Jaylon Smith gets released by the Dallas Cowboys and picked up by the Packers. And I've been in a lot of battles this year or this week with Green Bay fans. Okay, look, I live in Dallas, or I live in Fort Worth, right next to Dallas. I see a lot of Cowboy games. I listen to 105.3 The Fan, Sean and RJ in the morning. I hear everything Dallas Cowboy news. I got buddies who are Cowboys fans, and
you mean the Arlington Cowboys?
The Arlington Cowboys. Okay. Everyone in Green Bay is super excited. Jaylon Smith, woo, he's so great. Jeff, he's not. He's not good. Okay. He's not good. He was a beast coming out of college. Okay. He was one of the best linebackers in college. He blew out his knee. They never thought he'd play football again. Okay. His story's great. And that's why the Dallas Cowboys got him. His story is great. There was some nerve damage to his knee, and they told him if it didn't ever regenerate, you would never be able to play football. And it regenerated, but he's not ever going to be able to be that same guy again. Okay. They didn't tell him that, but it's just, okay, he's not. You can see by his play, he's not. Will he come to Green Bay and help us out? Yes, because our linebacking crew has been really, really bad the last couple of years. And actually this season, Jeff, it's actually been pretty good. It's been one of our strengths. So I'm like, okay, this linebacker crew has been good. Jaylon Smith as a person and his character and as a leader, he's great. He's fantastic. There's not one bad thing to say to him about a locker room guy. Our head coach coached him, was on the coaching staff when he played for Notre Dame, Matt LaFleur. So there is a connection there already. So I don't hate this pick because we're only paying him $700,000 to play for us. The Dallas Cowboys are picking up the rest of the $7 million. It's a low risk, possible high reward if he does come and play good. And sometimes a player might need to change his scenery to go somewhere, and he really wants to play in Green Bay. That's where he wanted to go when he got released. But if I'm looking at him from an unbiased view, and I've heard all the complaints the last couple of years, he's a step slow. He takes bad angles to the football. His coverage is non-existent. Do not pick this guy in coverage. He's never rushed, even in college, he's never really rushed the quarterback. Fantastic. So I'm not here and saying that Jaylon Smith, this is going to be a piece that helps us win the Super Bowl. I don't think we'll really notice it too much. And I've been trying to tell that to the fans, Jeff, on Facebook, but they say I don't know what I'm talking about, Jeff, and that Jaylon Smith's a Pro Bowl linebacker. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping he does good. Obviously, I want him to be good, but I don't think so.
Here's why it's not going to work. Okay. You have the wrong emblem on your helmet. The star is very powerful, Brian, and the star makes players better. And so now that he's in Green Bay, he's got the G on his, he's got the green and the yellow, and that's just not going to happen. It's just, the power of the star, Brian. I'm a very big believer in that. So here's the thing. Jaylon Smith has been, I don't think Dallas fans really care I don't think that they're crying about it. I think that they're going to hype him up because obviously he came from Dallas. And, if he comes to Green Bay and doesn't do well, they're going to probably just be like, whatever. We dodged a bullet. They won't care. But, if Jaylon Smith wants to prove everyone wrong, if he wants to kind of go, look, I'm going to prove that Dallas made a mistake and I'm going to make the Packers better, especially defensively wise, then awesome. He's got to put in the effort and put in the grind, so to speak, and we'll see. And I mean, if he puts in that effort and that grind, then we'll see where it goes. But
the questions I've gotten from Dallas Cowboy fans is kind of why now? Why didn't you cut him before the season? Why are you cutting him now? He could be a death guy. And I get that. They came to him and they said, Jaylon Smith, because next season, if he stay with Dallas, if he got hurt at any point in time between now and next year, his contract is fully guaranteed. That was $9 million. And they asked him to change that. They said, hey, will you take that guarantee away? And he said no. And they said, we're going to have to release you then. So Packers fans took it as, it's just a salary dump. He's still a really good player, and he's not, guys. So locker room guy, great. Character guy, great. He does.
We'll see.
We'll see. All right, Jeff,
And
speaking of the grind, a different grind going on in this next,
not the coffee shop guys. All right.
And the next type of grind going on in this next headline of the week here. Urban Meyer finds himself in trouble again, because he's always in trouble, this guy, after a video surfaced of a woman grinding on him and him groping her at a bar. After first of all, he's married, so this isn't his wife. So it's a bad look, right? But he didn't take the flight home after they lost last Thursday night, and he said he was going to go spend some time with the family. Good old family man, Urban Meyer. But he's found looking drunk. Okay, I don't know if he was actually drunk, but looking impaired, having a woman grind on him, groping on a woman. This is a bad look, Jeff. Your football team, this is your first NFL season in the NFL. Your team starts off a rocky 4-0 with Trevor Lawrence.
0-4.
Sorry, 0-4. My bad. What am I thinking? 0-4.
That's a rocky start.
It's a rocky start.
Damn.
Yeah. You should be 17-0. No. So 0-4 start. He's made some questionable statements about the vaccine, about how they looked at the vaccine status before cutting players, and that's like, oh no, now they had an investigation over that. So it's not been a really good start. And then you got this. What is he doing, Jeff? Is he wanting to get fired? If you don't, I know you don't watch a lot of college football. He's come from college football. Urban Meyer has, obviously. Mm-hmm. He's been in trouble before. He's coached players. When he was coaching the Florida Gators, Jeff, there was like 30 students who got arrested while he coached them.
He's Tebow's main guy.
He's Tebow's guy. Oh, but he's also Aaron Hernandez, head coach, the guy who murdered his best friend and killed him. Yeah. That's so. We talked about this before. Is when he went there, I like the hire as a football hire because I said he'll hire guys to win, not caring what their character is, obviously. But I just don't see how this guy can walk into his locker room and have any type of respect by his teammates, by his team, his players. He's always had some random strange things happen to him. Urban Meyer, Jeff, is known for going to a place, winning, and then when things get rocky, he retires or he quits. He literally retired from football. I'm done. I'm stepping away from being with my family. a year later, he's coaching a different team, right? So everyone's thinking, is this his way out? Does he want out already after 0-4? Maybe it's too tough for him. USC needs a head coach in college football. It's a whole mess there. There's reports saying that the players don't respect him. I don't know. It's a lot of mess. I'm not a Urban Meyer fan as far as character and morality goes. But he's smart on when it comes to college football. We haven't seen that yet here in the NFL. So, and it's hard to have those moral arguments and top discussions, right? Because my morals are different than your morals, Jeff, and the guy sitting next to you's morals, and who am I to say that him groping on a woman that's not his wife is morally wrong, right? He may have different morals. Who knows what Urban Meyer's relationship is with his wife? Maybe it's an open relationship, right? I don't know. But I will tell you this. It's a bad look when your football team's 0-4. You skip the flight home and you're groping on a woman in a bar. It's just a bad look.
Well, this is another sports story with the court of public opinion. And I think, it's not good. It looks bad. I think that I question the legitimacy of people saying that the players are not behind him. I think that players respect Urban Meyer based off, his coaching ability, and being able to kind of build and mentor a team to win and stuff like that. But it doesn't look good because they're 0-4. And I think that it doesn't look good in general, but it definitely doesn't look good because of that odd and rocky start.
If they're 4-0 is not a story.
Right. It's a story, but I think it's more of like, let's just say he was just, he was an odd and, whatever night or whatever. And I think as long as I don't know if the woman has come out and said that she didn't want that. I think that her parents came out and said there was she didn't look like she was in her right state of mind. I don't know. But needless to say, everybody was adults in that situation. So there's got to be some accountability on both sides there. But I just look at it like this is another one of those problems that the NFL has to figure out again. Whether that means Urban Meyer has to do publicly make a statement about maybe he has a problem. Maybe he has a drinking problem. That's possible. And I think if he comes out and he says those kinds of things and that woman doesn't really, it's not like if she doesn't, take legal action or whatever, obviously, then maybe the NFL will be like, let's get some Urban Meyer, some mentorship help and kind of fix this maybe alcoholism that he may have. I think that people would find that to be a little bit more humble in him to do that. And then this will be reversed as opposed to this is a moment where Urban Meyer realized his rock bottom and fixed it. And if that happens, that's pretty good. I think that's something that maybe, and then the NFL, he could also be a spokesperson for how maybe some players that are alcoholics. I mean, I'm sure that happens. So, we saw a little bit of that with Richard Sherman, and
he's playing,
and he's playing
without any repercussions.
Right. So I think that I don't think anything will come of this in terms of firing him. I think unless that girl said that she wasn't in her right state of mind and she was too intoxicated and he was touching her or whatever. I don't know. But if something comes out with that, I could definitely see the NFL being like, we need to figure something out here. And I could see the team maybe doing something, but if he loses the locker room, that's a big problem. He just cannot lose that locker room.
I don't think anything comes of it. There's videos of her grinding on him. And so,
right.
It's just a bad look for a coach. It's 0-4.
It is a bad look.
It's a really bad look for when his past history. And to me, Jeff, if Urban Meyer is just he's not a good character, and I mean, I'm just
and I also think that this is. I know a lot of people don't talk about it. It's not talked about as a problem, but I do think it is an issue in the United States in general. We are in this weird thing where overindulgence of alcohol is considered okay. It is a problem, and I think that eventually at some point we will start seeing this kind of overtake the obesity epidemic in the United States. So as the number one cause of probably death. So yeah, it's just kind of, you're seeing a lot more people that are younger. I know people that are younger that already have liver damage. And they're younger than me. So it's just kind of, and it's resulted from that.
Jeff, you're supposed to keep that private. What's going on?
But I mean, it is something that is, I'm not going to say who it is, but I'm just saying it's something that is a thing. I've had family members have stroke because of it. So it's just kind of like, this is a massive problem. I mean, I sat there one time and watched a game of football and I counted how many beer commercials came up. I was like, wow, that's a lot. So it was just kind of, they know the audience there, Jeff. They know the audience. Oh, yeah. And so, I think that this is something that the NFL needs to probably start looking at and addressing so that, they can at least be on the forefront of the talk of alcoholism in the NFL, alcoholism probably amongst players and obviously amongst coaches in this situation. I think Urban Meyer could be a spokesperson for that. And maybe you could flip this around. Not condoning the groping. I think that's something between him and his wife to figure out because again, this wasn't like he assaulted her and she wasn't precipitating in the other direction as well by touching him as well. So it's just kind of, and that's something between him and his wife to figure out and for them. And it's not a good look visually there, obviously, but I think the underlying issue is that Urban Meyer was not in his right state of mind in that situation. I do think that Urban Meyer was intoxicated.
Yeah. And I don't want to burst your bubble here. And you're right. No, the alcoholism is very something that's rampant in this country, and drunk drivers and everything else. And it'd be great if Urban Meyer turned that around and made it became a spokesperson against it. But Urban Meyer's not that guy, Jeff. I don't think.
Well, yeah. I mean, if it's not addressed, it will continue to happen.
Yeah.
It will continue to happen to him.
It's not. It's not good. All right, Jeff. Well, I mean, I hate that this is Trevor Lawrence's first year, and now he's got to deal with the head coach, and he's got to, all these things other than being 0-4. So I want to see him.
He can only control what's on the field, and I think if he controls what's on the field, he'll be all right. He'll get through it.
All right, Jeff. The next one's been a big talk and very interesting talk and debate and. So Kyrie Irving was not vaccinated, forcing him to miss home games and practices in Brooklyn. So there's a rule there in Brooklyn that says no one can enter the stadium, staff or whatever, without being vaccinated. So Kyrie Irving cannot play in New York. He can't practice. He can't play. He can't play any games in California. In certain cities are mandating different things. So we had this talk with a player from Golden State and playing. He can't play home games, but he's actually been Andrew Wiggins. He's actually got the vaccination now, so that's no big issue now. But Kyrie Irving's not going to get the vaccination. And look, when it comes to being vaccinated or not, I think it's your choice, right? It's my choice. I'm not vaccinated. It's your choice if you want to be vaccinated. What does he have to offer Brooklyn, though, Jeff? I mean, what if he can't play home games? He can't practice in Brooklyn. He can only play half the games. He's obviously going to be losing those paychecks because the rule came out in NBA. If you miss games because you're not vaccinated, then you're not going to get paid. what does he have to offer? I think it'd be a good time to trade him away to a team that doesn't have those strict rules. In my opinion, I mean, what else can he do?
I don't think Kyrie Irving is a reason that the Brooklyn Nets are going to go to the finals. I think that was apparent last playoff. Kevin Durant was the reason they were even in that picture, and he didn't have Harden. I don't think he had Kyrie Irving. He didn't have anybody. Sorry, I cussed. He didn't have anybody. And so I think, that was an insane game by him. And Kevin Durant was just insane. Like, pushing the Nets to a possible finals. I mean, he was doing it. That was a great game. You can't deny.
No, it was a good game. But Harden did play that last game.
Okay, he did. Okay.
He wasn't himself, but he did play that game.
Harden wasn't consistently in the playoffs. Let's just say that. Okay. So, and I think he was on and off throughout the season, and then Kyrie Irving was out. So I don't think they need him.
No, I mean, you don't. When you have Kyrie, or when you have Kevin Durant and you have Harden, you don't need Kyrie Irving. But
right.
And this, if you look back on it, Jeff, Kyrie Irving, I can't stand the guy. Can't stand him. Don't like him. I can't stand Kevin Durant. Not big fans of either one of these guys. But the Nets are super smart. And when they started noticing, hey, Kyrie Irving's going to miss 2 weeks of basketball, and we have no clue why. He's not hurt. He's just off the rails right now, right? He does this. Picking up Harden was the smartest thing they could have done.
Yeah.
And that was their contingency plan for this guy, and they didn't look forward and go, oh well, Kyrie Irving's not going to get a vaccine for the pandemic that's going to happen, But they said this guy's going to miss some time. That picking up James Harden might have been the smartest decision they've ever made, because if Kyrie Irving can only play road games, or they trade him away, which I don't know what there was a trade on the table. They came to Kevin Durant and said, hey, what if we trade Kyrie Irving for Ben Simmons? And Kevin Durant said, no, you're not trading away Kyrie Irving. I think you go back to him now and go, look, Kyrie Irving's refusing to get the shot, which he has every right to do. He can't play any home games. He can't even practice in our facility. What if we make this trade? I think the Nets would be dumb to not trade him for Ben Simmons. They've already got the scoring. Ben Simmons can give you some scoring, not in the fourth quarter when the ball in his hands to take the final shot, but he can give you some scoring. He plays really good defense. He's really smart with the basketball. I think that trade needs to happen. Kyrie Irving offers you nothing except 41 games that next year, and that's just insane to me. That and just flippy floppy, like, oh, I'm playing, I don't know, I'll play, I don't know, or I'm in it today, oh no, I'm not in it today, like I'll just kind of be around and person on the court. You've seen him do this over and over again, Jeff. If you watch him play, look, Kyrie Irving playing basketball by far is one of the best basketball players in the NBA. Right. I don't think that's even an argument here.
When he wants to play.
Exactly. And that's the problem. But go watch him when he played with LeBron. They won a championship. He said, I want out. I want to be the guy. I'm not the guy here. Some guys can't handle not being the guy. I get it, right? He goes over to Boston. They play their first year. Boston. He says, Boston, I love you so much. I'm going and re-sign here if you want me here. Well, he played 1 year. Then the next year they got Jason Tatum, and he wanted out. He didn't. He said, "Hey, I love you guys so much," and then he realized Jason Tatum's going to be that guy there. He wanted out.
Maybe this is a way for him to get out.
He joins Brooklyn. He joins Brooklyn with Kevin Durant, which he's not going to be the guy there with Kevin Durant. So I don't know what he was kind of thinking. But then they bring in James Harden. He's like, "Am I the third wheel here? What's going on? Maybe this is his way out."
Right.
I just don't know with him. And I'm all for, having your decision on getting vaccinated. And I don't think you should be vaccinated. I don't think Kyrie Irving says, well, if those are the rules, let me go get vaccinated. I'm not saying that. Because me personally, I don't think anybody should be ever put in that position of get the vaccine or you're fired. It's happened across this nation, but I don't want to get too far into that talk. And the NBA has basically set it up to where it's, hey, get vaccinated or we're going to make your life a living heck. And that's just is what it is. It's happened. It's
hard to determine if this is Kyrie Irving being Kyrie Irving or if this is Kyrie Irving actually not wanting to do that.
That's true. I mean, it could be him going, I'm not going to get the shot so I can get out of Brooklyn.
Right.
I get that.
It's a way to save face and be like, well, let me blame it on this.
I get that. Oh, no, and that's a good point. That's a really good point. So it's just, I cannot stand him, Jeff. It's just one thing after the another with this guy.
He'll go to LA.
And I don't even know if I'd want him. Okay. But that's been an interesting talk, Jeff. So we've had the NFL, we've had some basketball, and you guys are going, guys, MLB playoffs. They've started. They're here. Why the hell aren't you talking about them? Well, we are now, Jeff. All right. So that's our next headlines. The MLB playoffs have started. And this is when we get to start talking some baseball. And it's interesting because you got the NFL, which covers most of our show, because that's what most people watch. You got the NBA preseason started, which is like, I can't believe we're already having NBA preseason games going on. And now you got MLB playoffs. We've had some interesting matchups. We had the Dodgers walk off in the play-in game the other night against the Cardinals. The Cardinals came into that game, Jeff, winning 16 games straight. They came on fire. The Dodgers walked it off. The Dodgers played the Giants last night, which is a big battle, a big rivalry. And the Giants win that game, go up 1-0. You had Boston handled the Yankees and moved on in their play-in game, and Boston and the Rays are currently tied in their series 1-1. So that's the AL playoff matchup going on, and some NL there for you, the Dodgers and Giants. That's going to be one heck of a series to watch. You got the Giants, Jeff. We've got to give the Giants a round of applause for baseball, Jeff. They were projected to be one of the worst teams in baseball, and they were one of the best. I don't think I've ever seen that, right? Where you've been that far off on a team and they've come out with no name players and they've put it together and they've won 106 games in the regular season. So kudos to them. Will they beat the Dodgers? It's a really good matchup. They beat Buehler the other night. So they're looking really fantastic to go and be the favorites in the NL. The Rays to me look really good. But the Astros are also handling the White Sox. They're already up 2-0. Anybody can beat the Astros. Please, somebody, Jeff, take out the Astros. We don't want to see those cheaters win another one.
It is not going to be the White Sox.
Yeah. Well, the White Sox, they're young. They're talented.
They're not there yet.
They're not there yet. And,
they're not there yet. Yeah.
You also got the Brewers and Braves, which is kind of one of those series. Like, I like the Braves' talent. I really do. When I started MLB The Show, I started a franchise. I played with the Braves, and I was like, this team's got some talent on them.
Braves are good.
They got some really good talent,
and they're gonna continue to be good. Like, I think over the next couple of years. Yeah,
and will that talent turn into a championship? I don't know, but the Brewers lead that series. Actually, they won the other night 2-0 or 2-1. They go 1-0 in the series, and so that's your baseball talk here. We have, I like, if I'm looking at what I've seen on the field so far, I'm probably predicting a Giants, maybe Tampa. I don't want to say the Astros, Jeff. I don't want to say the Astros. I'm gonna go with the Giants and Tampa Bay Rays in the championship.
Yeah. So as a Yankee fan, the team, Aaron Boone's gone. I can pretty much guarantee
he should
that.
be.
I think Aaron Boone, the experiment, Aaron Boone is gone. Everybody wanted David Cohn in there. I hope that's something that they think about. There's also Buck Showalter as well. A lot of people are talking about him. He does have ties with the Yankees. He actually was the manager before Girardi came in. And so, Buck Showalter's pretty good. I think that he's a great coach. And so that would be good too. But I would like to see David Cohn. Possibly. I think he's very intelligent. He also has played the game on a very high level. He was part of the main squad back in the 90s. And so I think he would look at it from a less analytical way than Boone.
Yes.
So, and I think he would mix analytics in there at some point, but Boone was straight up analytics. He never...
You're gonna have
never.
You're gonna have to have analytics.
Right. And I think that's good, but I think Boone was so heavy on it that it was just nothing was gut reaction ever.
Yes, and that's the problem.
And here's the weird part: the tail end of the season, that's when his gut reaction started. You saw them stealing more bases. You saw them taking more chances. Things like that, and it was like a little too late.
Yeah,
we've gone over this for about 2.5 years. A little too late.
A lot of ownerships in baseball, and a lot of their numbers guys, they want a head coach to do what they're told. These head coaches now are basically, here's the analytics, here's what they say, you need to follow them, and then the coach, when they lose, gets the blame. Right? I think analytics have come into every sport. We've seen them switch. Yeah. We've seen it happen in football. More analytics. You're throwing the ball more. You're going for it more on fourth down. You're doing this. You're doing that. It's made the game more exciting. It's made us watch more. It's made us look at numbers more. It's put more points on the board. In baseball, it's done the opposite. It's no more stolen bases. It's singles are useless. It's home runs are the way to go. It's I don't care if my pitcher is pitching a shutout in Game 7 of the World Series or Game 6 of the World Series last year. Analytics says if they face my pitcher for a third time, then they're going to have success. Let's pull this guy out. There's no gut feeling. I want a head coach that listens to analytics. I want a head coach that has a gut feeling and can put both into play in this game. When you're talking about changing a sport of, hey, let's juice the baseball so we get more runs. Hey, let's now that the baseballs are juiced, let's take the sticky tack away. Let's move the mound. Let's change the mound height. Let's do this. Let's do that, because the game's not being watched as much, and it's not as entertaining. And analytics has gone too far in baseball, in my opinion. And I think it's really, really put a death grip on this sport, and it's hard. It's hard to watch sometimes, Jeff.
Well, yeah, and I will say something. So a lot of people I think that, baseball is going, after this season, baseball is going into negotiations.
We'll see a strike.
More
than likely.
I do.
Yeah.
If nothing comes to an agreement. And I think the number one thing that people will be talking about is the pitchers. And the number one thing about the pitchers that will be brought up is we need some kind of solid substance that you say is okay for us to use to grip that ball. Because what's happening is, and this has happened all through the season, we saw it with a number of pitchers. We saw it with a Rays pitcher. We saw it with Snell, I think. They don't... The grip that they have, or what they were using, was helping them grip that ball. And when they weren't, you saw a lot of injuries. There were tons of pitching injuries this season.
ACLs.
And so I was just like, gosh, so what's going to happen? And Garrett Cole's one of them too. I don't think Garrett Cole was healthy. I don't think Garrett Cole was healthy past May. Well,
the problem was they did this in the middle of the season.
Right. So prior to that, it was fine, right? There wasn't really a lot. You had occasional whatever pitchers feeling something tight and he's out for a game, like whatever, or for a start. Great, that's fine. It's not a problem. But I think that I don't think Garrett Cole and a number of pitchers have been healthy since May. And you saw a lot of that spike up. And a lot of people are like, what happened? Well, Garrett Cole can't pitch now because he doesn't have that thing. I'm like, yeah, but I think he was pitching fine and got hurt. And I think he got hurt and it wasn't severe enough for him. The doctors were like, well, you can still go out and play, but you're not going to injure it any more than it already is. So, and I think that's another reason why his numbers completely tanked after that. You had starts where he did okay. You had starts where he did absolutely abysmal and got knocked out in one inning. So it's just, they have to come up with an agreement about that. And if they come up with an agreement about that, I think ultimately that will help the pitchers understand what they can and cannot do. And it possibly could save their careers because you won't have a lot of issues with injuries and things like that. And ultimately you got to come up with something because this is going to be a strike year, I think. Next year.
You're exactly right. And, they've got to find something that where it gives. I don't want either side to have an advantage. I want the pitchers to have an advantage. I don't want the hitters to have an advantage. I want to go out and see the best man win, and that's it. And I think it's the juiced balls. Oh, it helped the batters. Well, then the pitchers have too much grip, and they did it mid-season. And you're seeing all these injuries, and it's just a debacle. And I love baseball. I'm always going to love baseball. It's harder for I think new fans to really jump into baseball, and you're not seeing the hit and runs. You're not seeing the stolen bases, and you're not seeing this stuff that make baseball interesting, and the ball and play more, where your guys are making diving catches and turning double plays, and so. It's just one thing after another with baseball, and I hope they get it figured out. And I hope analytics is just into baseball so bad that it's a lot of those head coaches, man. It's just follow what the analytics say, and that's it. And it sets up for. If those numbers guys are wrong or the analytics didn't work out here, it sets up for that head coach being fired. It's like, well, I'm just doing what you're telling me to do.
Right. And I want baseball fans to know, like, just be prepared. There may be very big possibility of a lot of tension going on between the players and the owners.
Oh, there will be. And we could see a strike.
Possibly.
Definitely. Yeah. And so, well, all right, Jeff, that's been this edition of Outspoken Sportscast. This is episode 73 here. What's in your locker, sir, this week? Or last week too, because we haven't jumped on together in a little bit.
Not a whole lot. We've been just chilling out. We went to Aspen and got to see all the fall colors. I took a bunch of pictures. Fall's officially started here. We see a lot of the yellows and the reds and the orange leaves changing everywhere, and now I think it's starting to get into the 60s and stuff like that. So, so fall's kind of starting now, and I think we may see some snow in the mountains probably next week. And so we'll wake up one morning, it'll be sunny, and you'll see white mountains. We just did that, came home, and after that just kind of chilled out. I played a few games. I did try out the college or the Battlefield beta, which is open right now, I think. That's pretty cool. Reminds me of the Battle Royale Call of Duty a little bit. You have like these random events that will happen, like a tornado will just come out of nowhere, take out a building. And there's just so many people, and it's just crazy. It's like, I think on PS5 it's like 146 people, which is insane. But it's more fast paced, which is kind of cool. So you run faster. I think you can also actually like bring in a vehicle at any moment. They'll drop it, which is pretty cool. So yeah, like I'm gonna probably stream a little bit more to that today. That, and then we've also the one main thing we've been watching is Squid Game.
Hey, okay. Do not ruin it for me. We are watching it. We're starting it tonight with me and the wife.
It's so good.
So don't ruin it. So good,
dude.
Let me throw you a little hint in there, or not a little hint, but a little side note of the Squid Games. So all the characters in Squid Games in the beginning are wearing white Vans, right? Shoes. Mm-hmm. I saw something that said white van shoe sales have jumped up 7,800% since episode 1.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
All right, continue.
Yeah, it's a great show. It's intense, very intense. As you continue moving forward through the show, it gets even more intense and more heart wrenching and more gut wrenching. There's a lot of twists. There's multiple twists. Once you get past at least episode 4. And so it sets it up perfectly. It's a really good story. It's a good emotional roller coaster. And my wife and I love it. We finished it, and then after that, we're waiting for You season 3, which is I think coming on the 15th. So that's a good one too. And outside of that, I've been playing a little bit more games. I played some Ghost of Tsushima yesterday after playing Battlefield, and getting back into that, which is fun because I messed up. I didn't transfer my PS4 save, so whenever the PS5 version was out, I went ahead and tried to start it up, and it was like there's no save, and I'm like, son of a. So I had to start over. But that's fine. And so, but it's a good game, so I like it. And then outside of that, getting ready for the Bronco game tomorrow. I think it starts at 1 o'clock. Maybe it's 12 or 11, something like that. So it's the early game. So I'm gonna watch that.
12 o'clock.
Yeah. So I'm gonna watch that. I'm gonna play the Steelers. I think we're in Pittsburgh. I do think Bridgewater starts. It's kind of he's got to go through one more protocol, I think. But I think he is going to start.
I projected y'all to win that game, Jeff. So
I think the defense will step up. Honestly, I really do.
Unless
I think
Lock plays, then it's iffy.
Offense, and that was the problem. I think the one issue last game is that we ran the ball and then stopped. It was like, okay.
I know I shared that one run with you, and I was like, dang.
Dude, I'm telling you, Devontae Adams. Don't sleep on Devontae Adams.
Devontae Williams. Don't sleep on Devontae Adams either, but
yeah. So Devontae Williams, but they did that. The Broncos they ran the ball, they would do it effectively, and then they just stopped the rest of the game. They didn't run the ball once after the first quarter. I'm like, okay. So that was ridiculous. That made no sense. When it's effective, when you're running the ball effectively, why do you just stop doing it? So I don't see that happening again. I do think they'll probably, I think we are, I've said this before, we are a run first team, and now we got Dalton Reisner back. So that's a great offensive lineman that we were missing the last game, which was huge. So I think that's one of the reasons why Bridgewater got hurt. And that was an illegal hit too, by the way. There's a lot of people saying that now, but that's besides the point. And yeah, that's really what's in my locker. What's in your locker?
All right, man. Well, the wife could not wait. She went and downloaded and got Far Cry 6 the other day. I played it yesterday for the first time, and let me tell you, it's amazing already. I'm playing on the PS4. The graphics are great on it, so I can only imagine what it looks like from the PS5. I've been trying to track down a PS5. I told my wife, I actually told her today, next time I get an opportunity to get a PS4 or PS5, I'm getting it. I'm not even asking. I'm doing it. Okay. So she's a little bit aware of that now. So, but that game's pretty sick. It starts off with a bang right off the bat. It's your typical Far Cry. It's open world, and dude, Jeff, this map is humongous. Okay. So I opened up the map and I was like, oh, this is it. You're on this island. I'm like, this doesn't look. And then I zoomed out and I was like, holy crap, this game is humongous. It's got a great storyline. and it's actually set. I didn't know this, but it's actually set in 2021. So it's like it's taking place this year on it's a made up island, but fantastic so far. We got a lot of college football, Jeff. When we get off here, I'm going to go and turn on the Red River Shootout. I got it recording. I actually got 3 games recording today. So the Red River Shootout's OU versus UT. So that's always a fun game to watch in the Cotton Bowl. And I got to go catch up on that. You got Arkansas number 13 versus Ole Miss number 17. Should be a pretty good one. That's starting now. And then at 3, Jeff, you got Penn State number 4 versus Iowa number 3. So that ought to be a good one too. Both defensive. That'll be a defensive slugfest in that game. So those games are on. And then tomorrow I'm going out with a new buddy of mine. I made a friend here in our neighborhood, Jeff. His name's Brandon. He is a Chicago Bears fan, unfortunately. But we're going to go out tomorrow and watch Packers play. They play the Bengals at noon, so that'll be good. And I'm really concerned with this Packers defense, Jeff. We've had a lot of injuries. Alexander got hurt last week. I didn't know if it's going to be season ending. They came out the other day and said that he's not going to have surgery, so it will not be season ending just yet. If he had surgery, it would have been. He's going to wait 2 or 3 weeks and see if he can wear a brace and play and get surgery after the season. So if we lose Alexander, we had another guy tore his ACL in the back in that defensive backfield. So we're running very thin. Our rookie Stokes has looked pretty good last week. He played in position of Kevin King, who Kevin King's been complete trash for us. I don't know why we brought him back, but he had it for his first interception last week. So he's been playing really good. But that's what's in my locker, man. That is what's in my locker this week. Work's been crazy too. Always is. We seem to have quite a bit of turnover in the trucking industry. So, but other than that, I'm gonna go be watching college football. Hopefully, get some more Far Cry in tomorrow. Tonight, me and the wife are spending some time together, and we're going to start Squid Games. We watched it the other day, and she didn't really know what it was, and then we quickly learned it's not a show you play in front of your kids. So
no.
This is so we were like Saturday night. I told her, me and you, date night on the couch watching Squid Games. So we got that going tonight, and some just college football today, man.
Cool.
But we'll look.
Cool stuff.
Yeah, we'll look at week 5 coming up. I'm still going strong in my survival game, Jeff. I haven't lost yet, so I got the Patriots this week. I'm predicting them to win, and then I'll do the week 5 recap on Tuesday. I've been doing pretty good. So week 1, I was 8-8, not very good. And then I went 11-5, and last week I was 10-6. So my predictions are panning out pretty good. We're getting some more hits on Twitch, not Twitch, sorry, on Why can I not think of
downloads
on TikTok? Dang it!
Okay.
My brain is not here today. We've been getting some more hits on TikTok. I'm having some fan reactions on there. We are on TikTok. It's Outspoken Sportscast. So go find us. I make weekly videos of my predictions for the week. Any news that breaks, I'll try and do a little video here or there. I've made fun of Urban Meyer on there. Trolled him a little bit. So go watch those videos. I'm trying to figure out how to do there's so many things on there that are cool that people do that I have no clue how to do those things. And they professionally edit and take 4 hours to make a 30-second clip. That won't be because I don't know how to do any of that stuff. But I'm trying to do some different things there and break some news there for you. So and I've actually enjoyed it more than I thought I would at first. So, but find us there. Jeff, what's our new Twitch?
It's
name.
It's OS_pod gaming.
There we go. I like that.
All lowercase. So yeah. I've been playing some Hitman on there and some Ghost of Tsushima, and then I streamed the Battlefield beta.
Jeff does switch there a lot. You won't see me do that a lot, but I play games as well. So we're there. We're on Instagram. We are on YouTube. We are on Facebook. You can find our podcasts anywhere. You can find it on Google Music. Sorry, they don't have Google Music anymore. It's Google Podcasts. You can find it on Apple, iHeartRadio, Pandora. Our name on iHeartRadio is still Watson's Playbook, so I need to figure out how to change that. But come find us, guys. Come interact with us. Our email is outspokensportscast@gmail.com. If you ever want to email us, you can find me on TikTok. I figured out, Jeff, about the problem with the comments, so those are good to go now. So
cool.
Let us guys know what you think. Feel free to ask any sports questions, personal questions, if you want to get to know me and Jeff anymore. And that's about it for this episode, guys. Episode 73. It's our power rankings. And we will see you guys next week.
All right. Take care, guys.
God bless.